Hello, everyone. In my presentation today, I will be speaking on human rights from the perspective of Hinduism, the worldview of this ancient religion, and the Hindu community's view of life and experience focusing on the caste system. I would like to start by acknowledging and paying my respects to the Kaurna people, the traditional custodians whose ancestral lands I am standing on right now. The image on this slide shows a banner created to protest the killing of a Dalit boy belonging to the lowest strata of India's graded caste system, who was killed in June this year. But first, a background into India's caste system. The caste system in Hindu society is made up of around 4,000 endogamous castes and subcastes, each of these having its own hereditary occupation. According to the founding texts of Hinduism, society is divided into the following four varnas: Brahmins, who were the priests, the educated class; the Kshatriyas, the warrior class; the kings, the soldiers; Vaishyas were the merchants and traders; and Shudras, the servants meant to serve the above three castes. The top of the caste system is the purest with the maximum guaranteed entitlements. As one goes down the caste pyramid, the purity decreases and the duties increase. The bottommost in the caste pyramid are categorized as scheduled castes or Dalits, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes. The champion of Dalit rights, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, scholar and architect of the Indian Constitution, who himself was a Dalit, thought that there cannot be a more degrading system of social organization than the caste system. Caste is an enclosed class. It is an ascending scale of reverence and a descending scale of contempt. He also said that this system deadens, paralyzes, and cripples people from people from helpful activity. Since independence from British rule in 1947, the Indian government did make efforts to introduce affirmative actions in the form of reservations in education and employment in order to improve the lot of the deprived sections of the society. But quite dishearteningly, as the 2011 census data in this table shows, 104 million Indians belonging to the category of scheduled tribes, along with 201 million belonging to the scheduled castes, are still trailing the rest of the country in almost all indices of human development like education, income, landholding, jobs, etc. 66% of the SC population and 59% of STs are literate against 74% of the general population, with just 13.5% of SCs and 11.2% of STs getting enrolled for higher education in 2010-11. Just a meager 0.36% of the ST population earn a taxable income, while among the SCs, this proportion is 0.64%. The monthly salary of the highest earning member is less than Indian rupees 5,000, equivalent to 100 Australian dollars, in 83% of the scheduled caste homes and 86.5% of scheduled tribe households. Another important point to be noted is that this reservation policy is limited only to government jobs, which accounts for just around 2% of the total jobs in the country. The backward castes lag the dominant castes in all professional fields, including media, which is demonstrated in this slide. The dominant castes, who are about 16% of the country's population, comprise 86% of key decision makers in Indian media. All leadership positions in the main Hindi news channels are held by people from the dominant castes. The overwhelming impact of this fact can be imagined if one considers the fact that Hindi is the language spoken by majority of the population of North India and understood by almost the entire country except for the four southern Indian states. Last month, a 19-year-old Dalit girl died after fighting for her life for 2 long weeks. She was gang raped by four upper caste men on September 14 in Bhulgarhi village in Hathras in the northern Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. She was brutally assaulted, apparently to show the lower caste their place in society. This resulted in tremendous protests when it came to light that the police initially refused to take the complaint of the victim's family. But things became uglier when the police cordoned off her village, locked up her family in their homes, and burned the body of the girl in the dead of the night, apparently to hide evidence that a rape had indeed happened. The media coverage has been controversial to say the least. Media houses aligned to the government and dominated by the upper caste, as demonstrated earlier, have raised the point that the incident should be portrayed not as caste atrocity but as one of the many incidents of violence against women. But the systemic discrimination which has resulted in this tragedy underlines the fact that the caste difference is the underlying cause behind this gang rape and murder. As writer Aditi Murthy says, the victim's caste matters because it shines a spotlight on India's uncomfortable position as a caste state and society that repeatedly terrorizes individuals deemed lower caste with violence. The ingrained prejudices of Hindu society are manifested in these records of the National Crime Records Bureau. More than four Dalit women are raped by non Dalits every day. A crime is committed against a Dalit by a non Dalit every 16 minutes. Cases of atrocities against Dalits have increased manifold since 2014 when the current right wing BJP government came to power, the party being a traditional upper caste Hindu nationalist party. The 2015 incident of two Dalit kids being burnt alive or the flogging of four Dalit men in Una are just a couple of those. The SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act was meant to deter acts of atrocities committed against members of the SC and ST population of India. Despite its good intentions, the act failed to protect the Dalits and tribals due to the entrenched caste system in Hindu society. So entrenched that even the judiciary and the police system are not above and beyond the extreme bias against the lower castes. Only 1.4% of complaints against SCs and 0.8% against STs end up in successful convictions. The reasons for the high rate of acquittal are again due to the prevalent caste bias in the very institutions that are meant to protect the Dalits. Police refuses to file reports in many cases and doesn't conduct the necessary investigations, thereby diluting the case. There are deliberate delays in filing charge sheet, allowing the perpetrators of the crime enough time to threaten and coerce the victims, forcing them to withdraw the complaints. The low conviction rates resulting due to these reasons have ironically been stated as the result of filing of false cases by Dalits. And on this excuse, provisions of the laws were diluted, resulting in countrywide protests in 2018. Dr. Ambedkar exchanged letters with the African American intellectual Du Bois, and both agreed that the racism faced by the African American in America is identical to the casteism that Dalit faces in India. The double consciousness, the conflict Du Bois talked about, resulting from a continuous effort of examining one's own self by looking at it through the eyes of the colonizer, who in the Indian case are the upper castes in Hindu society. Being engaged in a constant mental fight to prove one's worth to the superior being, this two-ness leads to violent internal conflict, preventing the person from attaining his or her peak in life. Caste system cannot be abolished, but it can certainly be made ineffective by increasing the representation of lower castes in the police and judiciary, addressing issues of denial of land rights to Dalits and misappropriation of lands of tribals, and improvement of health indices. There are political parties coming up which represents the issues of the lower castes led by some stalwart Dalit leaders, but India still has a long way to go in ceding space to the marginalized to speak out. Will the Dalits truly ever come out of the black hole they are currently living in? How long will it take before they don't have to face violence in their daily life and unshackle the mental bondage? We don't know the answer yet. As the Dalit poet Manohar Mauli Biswas says, the hatred poured on them and the uncaring treatment and negligence that these people have been victims of since centuries played a crucial role to make them socially, educationally, culturally, and mentally retarded. The mental bondage they suffer from is undoubtedly an unseen shackle which enchains them. Thank you.